There have been two copper juniors that have recently caught a bid and interest off a couple of news releases. And what's interesting is that neither one of these even put out drill results. The companies I'm talking about are Aston Bay Holdings and Decade Resources. Aston Bay has seen their share price rise over 400% since 10 days ago. And Decade has followed suit, rising over 140% over the last few days. Now, it's interesting because since early 2021, the Canadian junior mining markets have been pretty stale. And we've been looking for life, anywhere. We've had a few lithium stocks do well over this period of time, and a couple AI plays have raised some significant amount of money, but for the most part, it's been pretty bleak in the Canadian junior markets. In fact, deal flow on the Canadian junior markets is pretty much as low as it's been in over a decade. Canaccord recently laid off 75 people from their capital markets team, which is a sign of just how bad things have gotten in this sector. I mean, we're talking about the largest junior investment banking office in Canada that just got gutted. But here we are, looking for signs of life in one of the areas that many degenerate retail investors I know can't stop talking about is copper. And it's got us wondering if Aston Bay and Decade are the kind of stock stories showing the signs of life we've been looking for to wake the markets up. And more specifically, is now the time for copper junior investors? Let's dive in. The first stock to move here was Aston Bay Holdings. Aston Bay has it easy. American West Metals, who is working towards an earn-in of up to 80% of the Storm Copper project in Nunavut, Canada, is the operator of the project, and they're the ones spending money, while Aston Bay reaps the reward. The earn-in requires a spend of $10 million from American West to earn the full 80%. Now, on August 2nd, the two partners announced what they are calling a significant copper sulfide discovery, with diamond drilling revealing copper sulfide intersections that have similarities to major sediment-hosted copper systems like the Kalahari Copper Belt and Central African Copper Belt. Here's the thing, though. The company hasn't yet revealed assay results, so we're just going based on visuals. They tell us that with hole number 1, the core contains 30.5 meters of breccia-style copper sulfide between 45 and 60 meters down hole, and a 15-meter section deeper at between 332 meters and 347 meters down hole. They also said that hole 2 has a 37-meter intersection of breccia-style copper sulfide between 330 meters and 370 meters down hole. This is of course interesting because of the potential scale. These two drill holes, which are 680 meters apart, combined with the size of the gravity anomaly, indicate the potential for a large copper deposit. Thomas Ulrich, CEO of Aston Bay, emphasized the importance of the discovery, highlighting the potential for more significant copper-rich mineralization in the gravity anomaly and likening this discovery to the vast copper belts in Africa. The press release contained photos of samples showing the chalcolite mineral, which comprises approximately 79.8% copper. This project has a couple of issues. One, it's all the way in northern Nunavut on an island, which is pretty far from most infrastructure. And also, the systems appear to possibly be 300 meters in the ground, which makes for a challenging project, especially given the location. But also, it has an Australian connection through American West Metals, which is ASX listed. If you're unaware, the Aussies are far more bullish on resources than Canada these days. From my view, it has everything to do with a fork in the road a few years back. When Canada decided to go goo-goo over cannabis stocks, where basically every single Canadian-based company is a dumpster fire, and the Australians stuck with mining, where they saw multiple lithium companies get acquired or take projects to production, and with those wins, it's brought more retail money into the space. Aston Bay is not listed on the Australian exchange, but it wouldn't surprise us if a great deal of the volume on the stock is coming from down under. And then we have Decade Resources, an exploration company with various projects in the Golden Triangle of BC. A company whose stock was trading on limited volume in less than 10 cents per share just a week ago. And then presto, the company announced a news release just like Aston Bay. In the news release, Decade frames the recent drill program as a significant copper discovery at the Nobody Knows Copper Project in Terrace, BC. And honestly, the name Nobody Knows might be accurate given that just like Aston Bay, there are no assay results. Now, the drill program isn't huge. Only 500 meters of drilling was completed in 3 drill holes. The company states in their news release that the discovery drill holes show similarities to many of the world's major sediment-hosted copper systems with the association of silver with copper. The drill results show 30 meters of visual sulfides, mostly comprising of boronite and minor chalcocite. Another 10 meters show cased chalcopyrite. Interestingly, they also found traces of native copper in the core. Native copper is essentially copper in its pure metallic form, which is quite rare in the mining world. It's hard to say where all the buying is coming from in on the stock and if investors really are buying into the news release. It should also be noted that the stock began to run randomly the day before the news broke, but it's caught the eye of the Canadian junior investors, at least for this week. So what's causing the run in these names? Are they just the latest pump in a sector that's craving attention, or is there something more to it? Truthfully, we don't know at this point, but there's something to be said about a looming copper shortage. Metal traders, miners, and commodity hawks have been pushing the narrative for months. S&P Global estimates that demand for the metal will double to 50 million tons annually by 2035, given the significance of the metal in the green economy. Copper is the key to wiring lithium-ion batteries and all sorts of electronics, meaning that it's an irreplaceable aspect of the power grid which our modern world relies upon. Bloomberg NEF, meanwhile, predicts that we will have an annual shortfall of 10 million tons of copper supply in the next decade, while Goldman Sachs analysts estimate that $150 billion will be required to be put into new mining projects to address the widening deficit. Jeff Curie at Goldman Sachs this past March commented that the forward outlook is extraordinarily positive, before commenting that peak supply is set to occur just next year, before ascribing a near-term price target of $4.67 per pound and a longer-term target of $6.80 per pound for the metal. As of this recording, the metal is priced around $4 per pound. So let's wrap it up. I've spoken with a few geos and they think Aston Bay is a really interesting project. But of course, given its depth and location, the chances of it turning into a mine carries a great deal of risk for investors. With Aston Bay potentially owning 20% of it after the earnout, at today's market cap for Aston Bay, that means we're valuing the Storm Copper project at nearly $200 million. The reality is that if all the rhetoric about a copper shortage holds true and copper heads to over $6 per pound and sustains itself there, projects with a sizable and mineable resource are going to start getting snatched up all over the place. Now look, this isn't investment advice and I'm not recommending any of these stocks. The purpose of this video is to just bring your attention to these early stage stories. I think copper has a chance of bringing major interest back to Canadian retail investors at some point. And if a few of these stories can pop and sustain themselves, Canadian junior markets could be on a comeback trail. So my plan is to keep my eyes peeled and be ready to participate when the party starts. And I'll continue to highlight these stories for our audience as they appear. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you could do me a big favor, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section.